Find the vertex of the equation of the equation of the axis of symmetry and the y-intercept of each of the following. Okay, so we need to find three things for each of these. Let's first find the vertex on number one. To find the vertex, we need to know the vertex is a coordinate. Now we're going to find that vertex by using x equals negative b over 2 times a. And of course, when you use it, let's use parentheses instead of the letters. So the a value happens to be 1. The b value is nowhere to be seen, and the c value is 3. The b value is the middle term with the x. So when you're thinking about plugging in b, what is b? There is no b, so b is 0. Okay, and a is 1, right? But when you think about this, negative 0 divided by 2, negative 0 is still 0, divided by 2 is still 0. So our x value of our vertex is 0. Now you want the y value. Anytime your x value is 0 on a standard form quadratic, your y value is going to be what? Your output's going to be what? The c value 3. That's correct. So the output is 3. So ladies and gentlemen, they're asking for the vertex. That is the vertex. What else are they asking for? Second thing they asked for is the equation of the axis of symmetry. Okay? They're asking, second thing, the equation for the axis of symmetry. Now remember, the equation of the axis of symmetry is the vertical line. Any vertical line has an equation that says x equals a number. And what number is it for the axis of symmetry? In this case, it's going to be what? 0. Because the axis of symmetry is simply x equals the number that's on the x value of your vertex. Okay, so here's your x value of your vertex, y value of your vertex. X equals the x value of your vertex. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your axis of symmetry. Okay, so that's your axis of symmetry right there. It's always going to be x equals whatever your x value is of your vertex. If you had a 2 right here, it'd be x equals 2. If you had a 5 right here, it'd be x equals 5. The axis of symmetry, one last time, is always going to be the x value of your vertex. What else are they asking for on this first question? It says, and the y-intercept of each. Not x-intercept, the y-intercept. Okay, so what is the y-intercept? Remember, to find the y-intercept, we must set x equal to 0 and solve. So we need to go back up here and set x equal to 0 and solve. That one's really easy because x, if you set it equal to 0, you get the output 3 anyway, so your y-intercept is the same thing as your vertex, because if you plug in 0, you get out of 3. So in this case, in this rare case, your y-intercept is the same thing as your vertex. So if you wanted to visualize that, so this is our y-intercept, which is also the same thing as our vertex. If you wanted to visualize that, you have your xy coordinate. The vertex is 0, 3, so 0 on the x, 1, 2, 3 on the y. We all know that if the a value is positive, which in this case the a value is 1, it's going to be opening up. So we have a parabola that's opening up right there. Okay, with the vertex right there at 0, 3. Where does this parabola cross the y-axis? At the vertex, which is the same thing, 0, 3. Okay, the axis of symmetry is the vertical line going right through that vertex, which we said the equation was x equals 0, and that's absolutely true. X equals 0 is a vertical line going right through it. So there's just a quick sketch so you could understand it visually. Let's check out number 2 right here. If you're doing this for the first time at home, hit pause and try to find the vertex. Vertex is a coordinate, and we're going to use the formula to find the x value. So let's use parentheses to plug in. And if we look at the above, we have our a value of 2, we have our b value of 8, and our c value of negative 5. So let's plug in our b value, which happens to be 8, our a value, which happens to be 2. We're going to end up with negative 8 over 4, which ends up being negative 2. Everybody with me? So our vertex x value is negative 2. Once you have the x value to any equation, how do you find the y value? Plugging it in. So I'm going to rewrite this quadratic trinomial equation, but instead of x's, I'm going to put parentheses so I could plug in this negative 2. Let me first rewrite this. So there it is, rewritten. Now let me plug in the negative 2 for x. Let me plug it in right here and right here. Okay, so now it's getting messy. Let's zoom in a little more. And if we go with the negative 2 squared, that's 4. So I really have 2 times 4, that's going to be 8. And right here I really have a negative 16. And at the very end a minus 5. So I have 8 minus 16 minus 5. 8 minus 16 is negative 8. And negative 8 minus 5 is negative 13, correct? So that's my y value of my vertex. Okay? So my y value of my vertex is negative 13. Okay, so that is the first thing they asked for. We already have the vertex. How about the axis of symmetry? So what's the axis of symmetry, guys, if you know that your vertex is negative 2, negative 13? X equals negative 2. That's the axis of symmetry right there, guys. Axis of symmetry is x equals negative 2. Remember, the axis of symmetry will always be x equals whatever the x value is of your vertex. And last but not least, they want us to find the y-intercept of this thing. So the y-intercept would be setting x equal to 0. So for the y-intercept, you're going to set x equal to 0, and that's really easy to do because whenever you have a standard form with the x value of 0, the c value is your output, right? If I take that, if I take that 0, this 0, and plug it in for x, and for x, everything cancels out except for the minus 5. So the y-intercept coordinate will be 0 for x and minus 5 for y, and that tells you where it crosses the y-axis, not the x-axis. Let's move on to number 3. Write the equation of the axis of symmetry of this parabola on number 3. Okay, so how am I going to find the equation of the axis of symmetry? Anybody?
That's the vertex.
Well, yeah, exactly. Okay, you said you're giving me the formula for vertex, which is right, because you need to find the vertex in order for you to find the axis of symmetry. So we know that to find the vertex, at least the vertex x value, not the y, but the vertex x value, you're gonna do x equals negative b over 2 times a, right? And that'll give you the x value of the vertex. But we know that after all, the axis of symmetry is the x value of the vertex, the equation x equals whatever, right? So let's find that x value, and we don't even have to find the y if they're only asking for the axis of symmetry. So when I plug it in, I'm going to use parentheses, like always. And what do I plug in for b?
8.
B is 8, okay. And the a value? 6, okay, so the a value is 6. So when I work this out, I'm going to have a negative 8 over a positive 12. Could I reduce that?
Yeah.
Yeah, what does it reduce down to? Negative 2/3 if you reduce by 4. Yay? So the x value of our vertex is negative 2/3. Now, I'll be honest with you, finding the vertex, you're going to have to plug in negative 2/3. That gets a little rough when you have fractions and you're squaring them and stuff. But you don't even have to find the vertex. If the only thing they ask for is the axis of symmetry, then you're done. X equals the x value of your vertex, which happens to be negative 2/3. So if you wanted to visualize that, that would be the vertical line between 0 and negative 1. The vertical line between 0 and negative 1 on the x-axis. Actually, it'd be 2/3 of the way to the negative 1. But that's it. That's your equation of the axis of symmetry. Got it? Number 4. Find the coordinate of the vertex. Okay. Find the coordinate of the vertex of this guy. So to find the vertex, which is a coordinate, we're going to use x equals negative b over 2 times a, negative parenthesis over 2 times parenthesis. What's the b value, guys? The b value is 0, right? The a value is -7. The b value, there's nothing in the middle. The c value is 9. So the b value is 0 in this case. The a value is what? -7. Okay, now some people get freaked out right there because they're going to have a -14 on the bottom. But still, you end up with a -0 over any number. Doesn't matter what you have on the bottom. It's still going to be 0. 0 divided by anything is still 0. So that means that the vertex x value is 0. And it's super easy to plug in the x value of 0. What do you get out for the y value? +9. And that's it. That's your vertex. That's the only thing they asked for. We are done. Vertex is 0, 9 on that one. Number 5. Does this have a max or min value? What do you guys say? How do we know if it has a max or min value? So over here on the side, if I take something and throw it up in the air, it goes up, it goes up, it goes up, it reaches a max height, and then it comes back down, right? That's a max value right there. It reaches a max height. Let's say you're on a swing, and you're swinging like this, from left to right, swinging, right? That way, or this way on the way back. That one would have a min value. So it all depends if your parabola is opening up or down for you to tell whether it has a max or min value. So if you look at an equation at the a value, what's the a value here? -1. So if you know your a value is negative, it's going to open down. So if it's opening down, we know that that is a max value. So what's the answer? Max. But it has a other part of this question that says state the max or min value. Okay, so we need to state the max value in this case. How are we going to find the max value? The max value is starts with the V. Vertex, right? The max value is the vertex. So let's find that vertex again. This is all about finding the vertex. Let me zoom in to have more space here. We're going to have x equals -b over 2a. And, whoops, I put parentheses instead of a. Sorry. Anyway, negative parenthesis over 2 times parenthesis. The b value is 8. The a value is -1. So we're going to get a -8 over a -2, which means that your vertex x value is +4, correct? Okay, so let's take that +4 and plug it in right here and right there. So maybe I'll zoom in and rewrite it and plug in +4. Let me plug in the +4 in here. Okay, so if I work this out, I want to do 4 squared first. That's 16. But we have a negative right in front of it, right? So that's going to be a -16. And then 8 times 4 is +32. Then a -5 at the very end. So -16 plus 32, that's 16. And then 16 take away 5, that's 11. -11, correct? No, +11. Yeah, +11. Once again, -16 plus 32, that's +16. 16 take away 5 is 11. So the vertex y value is 11. So what is the maximum value in this case? The max value is the vertex for 11. Now I have seen sometimes multiple choice quizzes or tests, they refer sometimes to the max value as just the y. So in this case the max value is 11. Either one of these is acceptable, max value 11 or max value 4, 11. I prefer the vertex because that tells you specifically where it's at, 4 on the x, 11 on the y. But technically the y value 11 is the maximum height of the parabola that's opening down. So we're halfway done with this review. We're going to pick this up on the next video, starting on number 6.